Sunday brings us arguably the most unique Super Bowl of all time. And I don't know if that's hyperbole to say that Super Bowl 55 will truly be unique. It will be one of a kind. Every year you're used to seeing the Super Bowl played in a stadium full of fans. And this year you're going to have some, but certainly not going to be a full house. You're also looking at a situation for the first time in history. A city that's hosting the Super Bowl has their home team hosting the Super Bowl in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're also in a situation where you've got two quarterbacks chasing history and legacy-making stuff. For the Kansas City Chiefs, it's Patrick Mahomes, last year's Super Bowl MVP and champion, trying to go back-to-back for the first time since Tom Brady's New England Patriots did it back in 2003 and 2004 seasons. And meanwhile, Tom Brady certainly trying to make history of his own. He's already made history by making it to his 10th Super Bowl. He's already the quarterback with the most Super Bowl wins in history with 6. Now he's chasing number 7, and most notably and significant of all, he's chasing his first Super Bowl title away from Bill Belichick in the Belichick way. It would just be another feather in the cap, another notch on the belt for Tom Brady's GOAT conversation and for his GOAT credentials that are already, I think, established. Whereas Mahomes, this is a chance to enter some really, truly special territory. You look at the matchup of coaches, two kind of old heads. You've got Andy Reid, who last year finally got over the hump and finally won his first Lombardi trophy, versus Bruce Arians, and one of those old hat type of characters that you're talking about, chasing his chance to win his first championship and doing it with one of the most diverse staffs in the league today and in league history. You look at his offensive coordinator is black, his defensive coordinator is black. So there's so much on the line, such a unique feeling Super Bowl here. And you're also talking about the Mahomes-Brady matchup that before this season you couldn't have gotten in the Super Bowl because they were both playing in the AFC side of the house. And now you look at it and you say, these guys, the past, the present, and the future, are all squaring off here in one game. And while it might not have been the State Farm Bowl that many of us might have expected with the Chiefs and the Packers, it's still a big-time significant matchup. Like, this is a chance for Tom Brady to show one more time that he's that dude, where it's that chance for Patrick Mahomes, similar to a Magic versus Michael 91 finals type of situation is what I would kind of compare this to. This is Mahomes' chance, even though he's already a champion, so it's slightly different than the 91 Bulls and Jordan, obviously. This is his chance to really, truly take the mantle from Tom Brady and say, here, give it. It's my time. It's my show. It's my league now. It's a fascinating thing. And even when you look at the approach for how these two teams were built, you look at a team like the Bucs, and they were built in a hodgepodge of ways. Some of their big-time players were acquired through the draft. Guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. The first-round pick this year, Tristan Wirfs. Other guys like Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy-Bunting, Devin White, Levante David. But then you also look at free agency, trades, etc. That's brought in the guys like the Shaq Barretts of the world and the Ndamukong Suhs, and obviously the most notable one of all, Tom freaking Brady. It still feels weird and funny to be talking about Tom Brady, not necessarily playing in the Super Bowl, but playing in the Super Bowl in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform. And the Chiefs, have made some moves themselves, when they made the deal to trade away a first-rounder for Frank Clark, etc. But, this is a team that approached the quarterback situation different. They had Alex Smith heading into that 2017 draft, and they traded up, gave up a 2018 first-round pick to go get Mahomes and sat on him for a year before they started using him. But they also had guys that they drafted like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, two elite weapons at their positions. But supplementing that with other solid moves like signings of Tyrann Mathieu, etc. Like, fascinating matchup to me in a lot of ways. And you look at it, these teams took two different paths to the playoffs, through the playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs were 14-2 in the regular season, and you could argue if they actually gave a crap about that Week 17 game against the Chargers, they're probably 15-1. Hard to come back when you're the defending champs with everybody gunning for you, everybody giving you your best shot. Hard for you to sit there and get back to this position, but they did. They absolutely did. And in the playoffs, that divisional round game against the Browns, it looked like they were in good shape, and then Mahomes goes down with the concussion, and they did what a championship team does. They scrapped and clawed, and they found a way in the clutch to make just one more play that they needed to make thanks to Chad Henne, and they got past the Browns, and then relatively comfortably ended up beating the Bills, even though if you remember they were down 9-0 early in that first quarter. Kind of a repeat of history from last year in the playoffs, where the Chiefs had 3 straight games where they went down double digits before they just came back on folks, including, if you remember, that game against the Texans where they were down 24 points. And certainly what they did in the Super Bowl, too. Whereas you look at the Buccaneers, they weren't the 1 seed. They didn't even win their division. That was the Saints. They were 5 seeds, so they had to go on the road to win 3 straight games in the playoffs. And they did so. And it felt like it was a natural progression, like Washington was the crappy division winner, but they played tough and scrappy behind Taylor Heineke, and the Bucs had just enough to hold them off and win. Then the divisional round, they go to New Orleans and face a washed-up Drew Brees, and you saw how that went. And then in the NFC Championship game, like perhaps the most impressive win of all, even though it had some fleas to it too, they go into Lambeau, the frozen tundra, and they beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, even though Tom Brady threw 3 pretty bad second-half picks. So the one thing you could say about this Bucs team is in the divisional round, they beat the Saints because of the turnovers that they forced on Drew Brees. In the championship round against the Packers, they won in spite of the turnovers and in spite of the extra opportunities they gave to the Packers in the second half. So this is a battle-tested, veteran, tough-minded team. I don't care who you're playing, ultimately, to win 3 straight games in a row on the road in the playoffs, you're ready, you're prepared. And you could look at this and you could say, Tampa's going to have a big advantage going into this Super Bowl. You're talking about a team that gets to stay where they live, stay where they are. They don't have to travel. They don't have to worry about coming in late like the Chiefs or anything like that. That should be an advantage, and in a year like this, should be a sizable, significant advantage, and it is, to be clear. It absolutely is. But it's not like you're going to have a stadium of 70-plus thousand Buccaneers fans there. So while it's an advantage in some sense, let's not overrate it. You're still playing in front of a largely empty stadium. Just saying. And then when you look at the Chiefs, you sit there and say, what the hell was Andy Reid's son doing? What the hell was he thinking? Like, how in the fuck can you not discipline yourself in the week of the Super Bowl to stay away from the booze and the pills or whatever the hell you were doing? You damn near killed a kid, and you're on the precipice of trying to go for history, winning back-to-back Super Bowls. Like, what an incredible lapse of judgment. What an incredible, stupid time to do this. And when you look at history, it's really, really hard to repeat. It's been almost 20 years since somebody repeated. So that history is staring against the Kansas City Chiefs. When you look at other teams that have had to deal with that kind of 11th hour surprise, like the Raiders, was that the Barrett Robbins crap from years ago where he didn't show up for the Super Bowl? If I got the name wrong, please forgive me. And if you remember Eugene Robinson and his saga buying the hooker right before the Super Bowl, he was playing for the Falcons. Like, those teams that had to deal with those types of distractions didn't do that well. And when you also look at the history of this, you're saying, okay, they've got all of these distractions. And when you look at recent history, I believe it's been 9 out of the last, no, I think it's actually 10 out of the last 12 times that the team with the worst record going into the Super Bowl has beaten the team with the better record. Not a good precedent here for the Chiefs in a lot of ways. And you look at these teams and you could say the Chiefs are more exciting, they're more explosive on offense. The thing that's dangerous about them is even if they get down 14 early, and we've seen this play out over the past couple of years time after time after time, is they can get down early and it could be quick strike stuff, and they could be right back in the game. And it puts a ton of pressure, a tremendous amount of pressure on your offense to have to continue to produce and continue to put up points, because they can score in a minute or two, and it's like nothing happened. So that's the challenge of playing them. They've got a generational talent at quarterback, and they've got two elite skill players that are really, really challenging and really, really hard for opposing defenses to defend against. You might be able to figure out a way to take away a Tyreek Hill, but if you do, Travis Kelce's probably going to fuck you up. And if you really focus your coverage on bracketing Travis Kelce and double teaming him, then you're running the risk of Tyreek Hill or one of the other speed guys in this Chiefs offense going wild. Like, this could be a game where a Mecole Hardman hits a big play or two. Sounds like Sammy Watkins might be back for the Super Bowl. You know, he had a couple of plays in the Super Bowl last year. Like, this is a team built on speed and skill and explosiveness. They can score in bunches. They can move the ball down the field in a hurry. And even though they've now lost Eric Fisher for the year due to his injury, you look at the matchup for the Bucs defensively and you say, you know, this is a balanced defense, but they can have some trouble covering folks. And if they had trouble covering Green Bay at times 2 weeks ago, what the hell are they going to do against a superior pass-catching unit in Kansas City's? How are they going to do here? And for a team that, like under defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, loves to bring some pressure and loves to blitz, Mahomes is one of the best, if not arguably the best quarterback in the entire league against the blitz. And maybe you don't have to blitz as much because the Chiefs are going to be impacted in their pass protection without Eric Fisher anyways. But, you know, you got to go to the dance with the girl that brought you there, whatever the fuck you want to say. You know, but you got to be careful. If you take big risk, it can also blow up in your face. And this is not the team that you want to take a bunch of unnecessary risk against. You have to be strategic in terms of when you take those risks. And you look at this Buccaneers team, and you say another challenge for them is Andy Reid traditionally is really strong when he's got 2 weeks to prepare for a game. And you also look at Patrick Mahomes. I think he's undefeated in his early career when he's had 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent. There's some precedent here that suggests the Chiefs are going to do well. I look at the Buccaneers, and you could certainly argue that they're a more balanced, more complete team. That, I think, is beyond question true. But you run too many of those predictable-ass first down dive plays up the middle with Leonard Fournette or Rojo, you're going to get your ass whooped, period. Because the Chiefs will figure that out. You know, yes, you need to be able to run the ball because you want to keep the ball out of Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense hands, but you know, you can only play chicken shit for so long. You got to be able to score some points. So it's going to be on Tom Brady. And if what you saw last week, or 2 weeks ago, in that second half, if you're a Bucs fan, should incredibly concern you. Brady looked washed in that second half. He looked really bad. Really bad. So what's he going to do potentially when there's even more pressure because you got to keep up with Mahomes and the Chiefs offense? So look, the spread on this game, I think the Chiefs are 3-point favorites, which feels about right. Even though the Bucs are arguably the home team, there's a lot of things that suggest that the Chiefs should be the favorites. That said, I understand that a lot of people are going to pick the Bucs here. They're going to like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. They're going to appreciate just how hard it is for the Chiefs to repeat. They're going to appreciate, like, these teams historically that have had some last-minute drama like the Chiefs are having right now. It doesn't bode very well for them. And they're going to look at this and say, Tom Brady's going to be on a mission. He's going to play for something to prove. Bruce Arians is going to coach with something to prove. And skip-de-skip and whoop-de-woo. And the first time a team hosts the Super Bowl, it's hard to see them losing it. And I totally get it, and I totally understand all of it. Just for a 60-minute game, it is a hell of a lot easier to stop the Buccaneers offense. No offense to them, because they have plenty of skill and plenty of players. Especially, even if they might be without Cameron Brate, but you got Antonio Brown there, like, the Chiefs are going to have some challenges covering them. But the Chiefs can just keep coming. Like, I look at this and I see some type of, like, 34-29, 34-28 type of Chiefs victory. You can talk about all the swirl and all the drama of Super Bowl 55, and you can talk about all these things that point to Tampa. I'm going to have to ride with the Chiefs, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes here. You're welcome to tell me who you think will win Super Bowl 55 and who will be the MVP For me, I'd be hard-pressed to believe that it wouldn't be Patrick Mahomes, although certainly could make an argument that Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill could have a huge game and they end up getting the nod. This is a pick I've went back and forth with because there is a lot that is pointing towards the Buccaneers. There absolutely is. But even when you look at their playoff journey, it was against a Washington team playing a fourth-string quarterback, against a Saints team with a totally washed-up Drew Brees, and a Packers team whose defense was doo-doo, coordinated by a dum-dum in Mike Pettin. You know what I mean? With a head coach who was chicken shit, who wanted to kick a field goal down 8 with a little over 2 minutes to go. You're facing the big boys now in the Kansas City Chiefs. This is different. This is a different experience altogether. You know, and we could be talking about this being some incredible shootout, and the reality is it might not. And the teams might come out nervous, and they might come out tight, and both of the quarterbacks and offenses struggle to find their rhythms. Like, this could be more of one of those 23-17 type of matchups. That's certainly possible here. But if you're asking me to pick this game, I'm going to pick the team with the better quarterback. And the team with the better quarterback in this moment, as crazy as it sounds, because one is the GOAT, but that's the GOAT when you look at the entirety of the career. By far, the better quarterback right now is Patrick Mahomes, so I'm going to ride with him.